My name is Staff Sergeant Beverly Voros. My last name is V as in Victor, O-R-O-S, and I'm the Staff Sergeant for the Sex Crimes Unit. What I'll do is I'll read over the statement that you all have already, and I'll open the floor to questions, and we'll go from there. Detectives with the CPS Sex Crimes Cold Case Unit have charged a man in connection with a 15-year-old cold case. At approximately 12:30 p.m. on July 6, 1999, a woman was on the back patio of her home with her young baby in about the 0 to 100 block of Hidden Spring Place Northwest. Leaving the child on the back patio momentarily, the woman stepped inside to grab a toy. As she was walking back through the house to her kitchen, she was confronted inside her kitchen by a male. The offender physically and sexually assaulted her in the kitchen. The victim attempted to defend herself from the attacker by grabbing a nearby pen, and she attempted to stab him numerous times. The offender left through the front door of her house, and after locking it behind him, she immediately ran to check on her baby, who was thankfully unharmed, and she called the police immediately. This case was thoroughly investigated at the time, but unfortunately it became a cold case. In 2011, advances in technology led to the confirmation through DNA of a match to a man living out in BC at the time. The case was then reopened, and on Friday, March 28, 2014, a Canada-wide warrant was issued for the suspect's arrest. William James Brookshaw, 40 years old, of Fort St. John, BC, is charged with overcome resistance by choking, sexual assault, and break and enter. Brookshaw was returned to Calgary on Wednesday, April 2nd, and he's scheduled to appear in provincial court this morning. I'll open the floor to any questions you might have on this.
Can you talk to the DNA revelation? Can you talk to if it was like a blood sample or saliva or something like that led to the breakthrough?
Absolutely. It was the DNA on the tip of the pen that the victim used on him.
Can you just repeat the address again, Hidden Spring?
Yes, it was 0 to 100 block of Hidden Spring Place, Northwest.
That's where the attack happened, or that's where the...
That's where the attack happened.
Okay. Where was the search warrant? Where was the warrant? Where was he arrested? BC?
He was arrested out in BC at, Fort St. John.
Nearby?
Near Fort St. John, BC. And it was a Canada-wide warrant that was arrested for, or out there, and then brought back to Calgary.
Can you speak a little bit to, the significance of, these advances in technology, because we're seeing more and more cases like this where you are making arrests in cold cases?
Absolutely. We have 2 cold case detectives in sex crimes that are dedicated to our cold case files. None of our cases obviously are ever closed, and with the advances in technology, it's amazing because we're getting these DNA hits to offenders that are 10, 15 years old because we have them in the database. So absolutely, it is helping with our investigation. It's a small portion of our investigation. We get the hit. We still have a lot of work to do, but it's a key piece, absolutely.
Can you also, it was in 2011 when the DNA finding was?
Correct.
So can you kind of talk about the process from, because it's 2014 now, can you just talk
Absolutely.
a little bit about the process from 2011 to getting here now and what happened in that time span?
Absolutely. Our cold case detectives work on numerous case files at the same time. When they do get a DNA hit, we will assign them to the investigators as soon as possible, but it takes time to get the DNA hit, to locate the offender, to pull in the victim, to get all the information together from that time period, because it is a cold case and it may have sat for a while. So we need to put the investigation back together and make sure we have a solid plan going forward. Yes.
What about injuries at the time to the woman?
There was minor physical injuries to the victim. However, the injuries, of course, with any type of sexual assault is very traumatic to the victim emotionally and recovering from all of that.
Have you guys notified her with this latest development?
Yes, we have notified the victim about this. She's very cooperative. She's doing very well. She's an amazingly strong, resilient lady.
Can you maybe talk about when she got the news? Obviously, it's something she's been dealing with for such a long time. Can you maybe speak to if it was a sense of relief or closure that she felt when she got the news?
When we initially contacted the victim and told her we were still working on this case, that we had a DNA hit, initially she was very surprised and appreciative that we're still working on this file. Now, as we told her, they're never closed. We now have this lead we'd like to follow up, and she was very excited to work with us to bring this to conclusion.
Just to back up on what happened, so she was on the porch with her baby? Is that what you said?
She was on the back deck with her small baby, and she was out there. She just ran inside to grab a toy, ran in quickly to get it, and when she was coming back through the kitchen, the male was already inside her house.
And he had arrived in the front of the house, I guess? Or?
I'm not sure if he came through the front of the house or if he followed her in through the back, but when she got to the kitchen, that's where she was confronted by him.
And you said she tried to defend herself by stabbing him with a pen?
She did. When he was attacking her, she actually grabbed the pen and started to stab him with the pen, just trying to trying to defend herself from the attack.
And it was the DNA on that pen that led to this match?
That's correct. It was the DNA on the pen that led to the match, yes. Just in case you want that.
This suspect, is he known to police prior to this?
I can't reveal anyone's criminal history, but it'll come out in court. Everything will be there.
How old was the baby at the time?
The baby was small. I believe it was under 1.
And was it a boy or girl?
A girl.
Has the suspect been cooperative and like that?
It's a tough question. Was the suspect? We did interview the suspect, and we interviewed him about this file and all the. Let me start that again. We did interview the suspect about this, and we did have discussions with him. Everything will be part of the investigation revealed in court. I really can't get into that right now.
Can you talk about some of the initial challenges with the investigation? Why it went cold?
The initial challenges is that all the leads dried up. We didn't know who this offender was at the time. We had no further leads to follow. We followed up everything that came in. And it's sad, but some of these cases go cold temporarily, and then leads like this will come up and we can reinitiate the investigation.
Were there a lot of tips at the time?
There was tips at the time, absolutely.
After the attack happened, were there any steps taken to protect the mother and her child?
In 1999, yes, there were steps taken to protect them, absolutely. They relocated from Calgary shortly thereafter. They're no longer residing in Calgary. The family resides elsewhere.
Is this just bad luck? Like, why was this woman targeted? This guy didn't stop her or anything like that, or any idea why this house was targeted?
That's a very good question. As for why he targeted this house, he was actually doing door-to-door knocking, asking for, is Jason home, and he came upon this house. We don't know if it was a crime of opportunity, if it was pre-planned. I don't know that.
So he was asking for Jason?
Jason, yes.
But obviously he knocked on that door and she didn't answer, right? She was just saying
We have information from neighbors that he had knocked on doors, and they'd actually spoken to him that he was asking for Jason. When he got to this door, obviously he didn't knock because she found him in the kitchen. She never heard any knocks or anything. Just all of a sudden this male was in her kitchen.
Is this one of the just for the time itself, 15 years? Is this one of the is this one of the maybe the longest cold case that hasn't been cracked? I don't know if we have those types of statistics, but I mean, just how significant is it to crack a case that old, perhaps?
I don't know if it's the longest cold case we've ever cracked. I know we are working on some currently that are older than that. It's an average, for sure.
So it must be relieving for you guys as well, though, to get this cracked.
It is. I love coming here with good news for you to tell you this is 15 years old and that I have 2 amazing detectives that worked on this and cracked the case and have an offender in custody. Absolutely. It's a great feeling. And for the victim. She's been waiting 15 years. Finally, she can come forward and say, you know what? I know who this is. So it still has to go through court, obviously, but, we're working on this.
Any idea if this guy has offended since then?
I really can't talk about his criminal history. The investigation's open. We are looking at other avenues as well, for sure.
What was the duration of the attack? Was it just brief?
It was under 10 minutes. So brief or not, under 10 minutes. Anyone that's in that situation, I'm sure she thought it lasted for hours, but it was under 10 minutes, the actual attack.
And he had no prior history with the house? He was just door knocking through the neighborhood?
We have no proof that he had history with that house at all, or this lady. They were strangers.
How old was he then, and how old was he then?
He's 40 now, so he would have been 25, and the female victim was her mid to late 30s.
And was both the front door and the back door unlocked at the time? Like he could have gotten in from one house to the other?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how he came in. There's no signs of forced entry, so we know he came in through some unlocked door somewhere.